Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a really powerful framework for deep spiritual transformation. This comes from the teachings of Apostle Michael Orokpo, and it's all about moving past just going through the motions and into a real, profound, personal connection with God.
So let's just get right to the heart of it with a question. We often think about our spiritual life in terms of what we do, the prayers we say, the meetings we attend, but what if the real focus should be on who we are becoming?
And this is a total shift in how we think about it. The central idea here is that priesthood isn't some formal title or a job you do at church. No, it's an internal state of being. It's the condition of your soul that comes from having a genuine, life-changing relationship.
Okay, so how do you get there? The journey starts with this first foundational dimension, learning to minister directly to God.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because we all kind of know how to praise important people, right? We use these fancy, carefully crafted words, but ministering to God? That's described as something totally different. It's not a performance for everyone else. It's an intimate, one-on-one connection, just expressing real gratitude and awe for who He is.
And you really can't overstate how important this is. This is the starting block for everything else. This kind of focused, heartfelt praise is called the heaviest molecule. It's the absolute foundation for the entire spiritual journey.
All right, so once you've got that foundation, things start to get much, much deeper. Let's move to the second dimension, because this is where the real change actually begins to happen.
And to really get a handle on this next step, we're going to look at a story you probably know really well. Moses, alone on a mountain for 40 days. We all know the basics, but let's look at it through a brand new lens.
It's a great question, right? I mean, what was he actually doing for 40 straight days? Was he just fasting, waiting for the clock to run out, just trying to make it through an endurance test? Well, the argument here is that it was something way more active and profound than that.
And this one word changes everything. He wasn't just passing time, he was beholding. He was actively engaged in this intense, focused act of spiritual observation, just looking upon God. And that single act had a ridiculously powerful effect. See, beholding isn't just a casual glance. It's a process that actually triggers a metamorphosis. We're not just talking about changing a few bad habits here. This is a fundamental change to your very spiritual DNA, an alteration of your core structure that's caused by being exposed to the divine for that long.
So the result is a two-step process. First, on the inside, your spiritual makeup is changed by what you've been looking at. And second, on the outside, you become the living proof of that change. I mean, think about it. When Moses came down that mountain, his face was literally glowing. He had become a walking, talking reflection of the glory he'd been staring at.
Okay, but let's be real. This kind of deep, fundamental change, it doesn't just happen overnight. You can't just snap your fingers. It takes an incredible amount of discipline, which brings us to our third dimension, the art of waiting.
And the first thing to get is that this isn't the kind of waiting you do at the doctor's office. It's not passive, it's not boring. It's an active, super focused state. The idea is that you're trying to engage with a king, a sovereign being, not a vending machine where you just put in a prayer and get an instant result. You have to learn how to wait for him to show up.
So how do you do it? How do you wait effectively? Well, there are two keys here. First, you have to actively silence the noise, all the anxiety, the distractions, the constant chatter going on inside your own head. And second, you have to cultivate a deep, passionate hunger, a relentless desire to actually encounter God.
I just love this analogy that's used to explain spiritual hunger. It's not a small craving, it's a powerful appetite. Think about a miner who's willing to dig in the dark, day after day, for months on end, all because they are so desperate to see the glint of a diamond.
And that's the kind of hunger we're talking about. It becomes the fuel that keeps you going, that keeps you focused and persistent, even when it feels like absolutely nothing is happening. It's the belief that what you're waiting for is worth more than anything.
So, you've done the ministering, the beholding, the waiting. What's it all for? Where does this journey actually take you? Well, that brings us to the fourth and final dimension.
The end game here is something called participation. This is the point where all that internal transformation finally translates into your unique purpose, your specific function in the world. It's about finally finding your place and discovering what you were actually created to do.
And this comparison between clones and originals, wow, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The idea is that without this whole process, people end up as clones, just imitating each other, following a bunch of external rules. But true priesthood,
It brings out your originality. It lets you operate in genuine freedom, fulfilling the unique purpose you were designed for.
So at the end of the day, the goal isn't to create a bunch of spiritual superstars who are all competing with each other. No way. It's about building a community of specialists. You find your unique identity, maybe you're a warrior or a teacher or a seer, and you find your tribe, your people. Instead of competing, everyone has a distinct role, and they all complement each other to form a complete, mature body.
In this quote, man, it just perfectly sums up the entire idea. The ultimate proof that you've had a real spiritual encounter isn't in the cool stories you can tell about it. The only real proof is who you become because of it. The transformation is the only thing that's real.
And that's really the question to leave you with, isn't it? It completely shifts the focus from what are you doing to who are you becoming, from just performing religion to actually being transformed. And that's a thought to sit with.